Costa Rica's Caribbean coast. Jungle, sun, surf. Gorgeous beaches, some of them ranked the prettiest in the world, and much of it largely undeveloped, especially compared with the rest of the Caribbean. Here's an example. This is Cancun, and this is the coastline south of Puerto Viejo, just north of the Panama border. Until just a decade ago, these were dirt roads, but tourism and development have driven in fast. Boutique hotels, high-end supermarkets, and more tourists than ever before.
We have a lot more people than we used to. And what this town used to be is no longer exists. And what it's brought is just, as we know worldwide, is gentrification and development.
And this is likely just the beginning. The local municipal government is pushing to approve a regulatory plan for the region that many residents say would open it up to a wave of development from high-end resorts that would transform their lives and their home. If the plan is pushed through, they fear for the fate of the local environment, the reef, the pristine coastline, their community, and their future.
¿Cuál es su propósito? Que esto se convierta en un Miami. Que los amigos de ellos puedan venir y disfrutar y hacer la loquera que hacen.
Here's what the fight is over. Since the 1970s, Costa Rica has had a maritime law that prohibits building within 50 meters from the coastal waterfront. It also restricts development on land 200 meters back from the water. But the southern Caribbean coast has never had a regulatory plan to define what those restrictions mean, where building can and cannot take place, and for what purpose. That means that development has happened on the fly. Most residents agree that the region needs a regulatory plan urgently, but locals say they want a plan that they actually had a hand in crafting. They say that is not the case with the current plan, and groups are organizing against it. They've held signature drives and protests.
Porque hoy es el comienzo y yo creo que tenemos que elevar la voz no solo a nivel nacional, sino a nivel internacional.
También nos tienen que consultar qué hacer en nuestro territorio desde el primer día. No venir después, al final, con un documento de 400 páginas para que lo estudiemos a ver qué nos parece. Eso no es así. La cosa no es así, señor alcalde. Lo respeto mucho, pero la cosa no es así. Este plan regulador hay que traerlo abajo y comenzar de nuevo. De nuevo.
¿Qué Goldie todavía existen los indígenas que defendemos nuestros derechos, nuestra tierra madre? Así que no se le olvide, don señor alcalde, que qué Goldie está perdido. ¿Qué Goldie tiene indígena quien lo defiende y lo vamos a defender hasta lo último? Así que defendemos a nuestro qué Goldie.
Lucelina Sanchez is a leader of the Indigenous Bribri people on Kekoldi land. Their territory stretches over several miles of coastline that will be impacted by the regulatory plan, and they are concerned.
Nos preocupa como territorios indígenas porque de un principio cuando se elabora este plan de parte de los funcionarios de la municipalidad y sus comisiones, pues no nos tomaron en cuenta. No nos informaron, no tuvimos ninguna clase de informaciones formal a nuestro gobierno, pues para tomar o para realizar una participación o tener nuestra participación en sí en dicha propuesta.
The Bribri people have particular reason to be concerned. In 1996, the local government expropriated part of their territory along the coast. The indigenous community fought and won recognition, but it took more than 20 years. In 2019, the Supreme Court ruled that they had the legal right to the land because they were never consulted. But by then, their land was largely already occupied by others, and the state has not taken any steps to physically return it to them. Now, they have requested an injunction in the courts to stop this regulatory plan until their concerns are addressed. Their top concern? That they weren't consulted at all by the plan's authors.
No nos presentaron ninguna propuesta, no nos tomaron en cuenta y no nos dieron información directamente como debe de ser.
Mickey Ryan grew up in the stretch of coastline known as Cocles. It's part of the area that was taken from the Bribri people by the local government in the 1990s. He's a filmmaker and one of the organizers of the region's yearly Walaba Parade, a huge festival celebrating black culture and traditions in the region.
So the Caribbean culture of Costa Rica, the Caribbean part, because of the Jamaican and Afro-Caribbean immigrants that came here back in the 1800s, have formed and given its identity to the Atlantic part of Costa Rica.
Mickey doesn't like many aspects of the plan. He too believes the plan was created without vital input from the community. But he says some regulation is better than nothing. Development is coming, like it or not.
The plan regulador is necessary on the Old Harbor. We need a plan regulador because if not, all of this development, which is anyway gonna still come, it's just gonna hammer us stronger than we think.
Here's the other thing. The local government has a trump card that has swayed the opinion of many locals. It says that if the plan isn't in place by next July, it will start to demolish properties within the restricted zone, 200 meters back from the ocean. Many people have something to lose: home, businesses, rental properties. They don't want to take the chance. This has happened before.
But the con of this, of not approving this plan regulador, is that we're back to 12 years ago where they demolished certain places and hotels and even traditional houses. It's not like that it hasn't happened before. They've come here and they've bulldozed down these places, and there's all of a sudden hundreds of people don't have a job or don't have a place to live anymore.
In other words, the local government is playing hardball to push this through, and not everyone is against it. Edwin Patterson is descended from one of the black families that founded the city of Puerto Viejo a century and a half ago. He runs one of the busiest restaurants in town, an institution that proudly celebrates the town's black ancestry.
And mainly I think that some of the so-called development of electricity and roads, they never built for the black community. They built for tourist industry. They never thinking on local people. Till today they don't have no plan for us. The only plan they have is to get rid of us. That's mathematics.
Nevertheless, this plan, he says, is necessary, and it's about time.
Right now, if you want to build a hotel, you don't have no restriction. So if you want to take your wastewater and just throw it in the street or in the ocean, you're free. Put your garbage in the street. With the zoning plan, the idea is that if you build an hotel, for an example, of more than 50 rooms or 25 rooms, just an example, you need to treat your water.
If the plan is approved, Patterson's property and that of the longtime residents of Puerto Viejo won't be affected by the new zoning law. They have the titles to their properties, grandfathered in long before the maritime law was approved in the 1970s. Patterson says the new plan will put up guardrails and ensure more order in the region's ongoing development, which until now has been unregulated and haphazard.
The zoning plan says if I am here and I am in residential area, for any reason I cannot build another business here. I can remain here, but I cannot build business. If I am in commercial area, I cannot build a house or I cannot build an industry. You have to go to the industrial area, which I think is fine. We're gonna have a spot for the fisherman, we're gonna have a spot for the bus station, okay.
The plan is backed by the national government and the Environment Ministry, and the plan won't impact the environmental reserves already under protection. But many residents remain concerned. On a Sunday afternoon in mid-September, dozens of residents packed into the Puerto Viejo Community Hall to discuss the plan's implications for the community. Activists from a regional group presented and detailed the different planning zones that would be laid across the coastline.
Área para turismo de baja intensidad, bien interesante, todo el bosquecito. Estamos pensando en que nos va a quedar mucho bosquecito. Ok, otra vez, estacionamiento. Me encantan los estacionamientos. Vamos a pelar ese bosquecito para poner un parqueo. ¡Qué éxito! Cuando uno ve un mapa así, se da cuenta que la participación de la comunidad no existe, ¿verdad? Porque no es posible que pongamos parqueos en los lugares donde estén los bosques, o que destinemos áreas solamente para el turismo y con una intensidad alta de utilización del sitio, ¿verdad?
They raised many issues. That 70% of forests on properties in the tourist zones could be cut down, that big companies bringing in private investment could receive tax exemptions, that the region does not have enough infrastructure, water, sewage, and electricity to handle the increased development. Many in the room were particularly concerned about the environmental impact. This is Playa Grande today, the largest stretch of unprotected, undeveloped coastline south of Puerto Viejo. And this is Playa Grande under the plan, slated for development in one of the tourist zones.
Recuerden que todas estas áreas las podemos construir al 70%. Eso es importante, que vayan viendo que todos nuestros bosques se pueden transformar en unas lindas propiedades con unos lindos jardines.
Si ese bosque desaparece, el estudio del patrimonio cultural subacuático que hay en esa zona también, porque está siendo protegido por eso. Así como los corales son la contención de nuestro pueblo, los bosques son la contención de los corales y de los mares. ¿Qué somos nosotros sin nuestros mares? Solo dejo eso porque yo lo voy a pelear a muerte, porque no puede ser.
She is ready to fight, as are many in the community. But local activist Maritza Gomez says they are up against powerful interests and big money.
¿Por qué? Porque no hay una debida planificación. Por eso andan corriendo ahora. Andan corriendo porque hay muchos intereses y han vendido cosas que están como refugio. Y hay 4 nombres que no voy a mencionar de 4 grandes inversionistas que han estado vende que vende.
But Maritza believes the community organizing can stop them. This is not the first development plan pushed in the region.
Fueron 2 oponentes que tuvimos consecutivas en 2 tiempos diferentes. No me acuerdo si fue en el 2008. El primero fue no al petróleo, porque querían excavar en el mar, porque ellos juraban que había petróleo en el mar. Nos opusimos, ganamos, con la ayuda de los indígenas. Ganamos esa lucha. Después, a los años, se les ocurrió montar una marina desde Red Point hasta donde queda el chino, el comisariato del chino.
They successfully blocked both projects. Now, she says, groups have been trying to divide the Black and Indigenous communities.
Hay un dicho en Costa Rica que dice que dividas y vencerás, pero yo también tengo un dicho que dice que no todo el que divide vence.
Right now, there are more questions than answers. But the struggle here over the next year will determine the future of Costa Rica's southern Caribbean coast and whom that coast belongs to. And many are ready to fight. For The Real News, reporting from Costa Rica, I'm Michael Fox.
Thank you so much for watching The Real News Network, where we lift up the voices, stories, and struggles that you care about most. And we need your help to keep doing this work. So please, tap your screen now, subscribe, and donate to The Real News Network. Solidarity forever.